Um, Watercolor tips and tricks. This is kind of a tricky one for me because I'm going to show you a little bit about making your painting look as good as it looks when it's on the internet. If you're entering a show, if you're trying to sell your painting, whatever, it's really hard to get it to look as good as it looks in real life. Cameras are the biggest problem, and you probably won't ever find a perfect camera. You can go through 100 cameras and it's not going to be right. One of the things that will help you, however, are good lighting, daylight, an odd light, or you know, a certain amount of daylight, not too much so that it's so bright. Scanners also work. The problem with scanners is with transparent watercolors, they're going to make it look a little too light, and if you get past a certain size, they're not going to fit on your scanner. So I'm going to show you how to make it look as good as it can look. You know, I'm not, some people say that's cheating. It's not. I don't want to make my painting look better than it looks in real life, because if I sell it to someone and they're going to think, oh my gosh, that's a fantastic painting, then what's going to happen when they get it in the mail? They're not going to be real happy with me. So I want it to look as close as I can as it looks in real life. And that's very difficult, and that's very frustrating. And I have a few tips here, and I'm not sure how this is going to work because I've never actually filmed a video from my computer. The software that I'm using at this time is Corel Paint Shop Pro, and it happens to be their one for cameras, for photos. And I find that it's very good. And it'll also match with things that you can do if you have Adobe Photoshop. It'll work with that. Some of these terms that I'm going to be using are similar in all the programs. So you don't have to have the same program to have it work. However, it will help if you have a software program that will help you work on your paintings. You know, you just want it to look as good as it can. Monitors are going to be different. There's nothing you can do with that. It will change the color. But my gosh, if it's a real pretty orange, you don't want it to look gray, and that can happen from cameras, or you don't want it to look flaming red either. You just want it to look pretty close to a pretty orange. So we're not talking about, I just want to reiterate this, we're not talking about making it look better than it is in real life. We're trying to make it look as good or as close as we can make it look in real life. And there are a lot of simple things you can do. One of the other things that I just want to mention to you, I'm going to put another one up here for just a second, is when you put your painting up in a group, on a site, and you just want to show it, even if you're not trying to sell it, there's a couple of things you could do besides what I'm going to show you here. And a few of those things are putting the size down, and also putting the media that you used. We can't always tell in photographs, and we certainly can't tell the size in a photograph either. And tell us a little bit about it. Not only give it a title, that's another thing. You know, okay, this is image 1492 635. Well, that sounds real exciting. Like you want to look at that. Not really. So give it a name. I often think we're giving birth to these paintings. And when we give birth to children, we name our children. Why wouldn't we name our paintings? We really need to give them a name. We need to own them. It's real important because they're a part of us. You just don't want to leave them with some number, say like a prisoner or something. You want to give them a name. I think that's real important to do that. So you want to name them, you want to give the size, you want to say how you created it, and what you used, and tell a little bit about it. I mean, if you really love horses and this particular horse just stood out, or you saw it at a horse show and you were so inspired by it, you painted it. You know, when I do fish, I talk about where I go fishing, you know, I mean, because that's what inspires me, and it also tells the people a little bit about you. You know, tell a little bit about yourself. You don't have to give your whole life story, but I think when people buy art, and this is also if you're just putting it up there, it's nice to know a little bit about what inspired the artist, why they decided to paint it, you know, what they liked about what they saw, something like that. Okay, well, we've got enough about that part. That's kind of like the artist statement and describing your painting. Now we're going to talk about making it look as good as it looks in real life when you put it up on the internet. And you're never going to get perfect with that. I have to tell you that too. Don't expect perfection out of that. That's going to be a problem. I have open here Corel Shop Paint Shop Pro ×2. Paint Shop Pro Photo ×2. I'm sorry. Now my first painting that I'm showing is going to be the poppies that I did. Popping poppies are what I called it. Now check that out. Look at that. Is that real exciting? I mean, they're almost all the same color. It looks totally faded. So one of the things we want to do is make it more colorful. We don't want it to be really faded. I've used, if you can see, there's my little hand, there's my arrow up there. If you can see my arrow at the top, I've enlarged that, and I don't know if that's going to help you or not. But this one is too light. Here is the original one. Want it to look like that, huh? Alright, here's, and that looks pretty close to the real one, but that took me about an hour. Here, it is too light. We can go over to adjust. And there's a couple things. There's a smart photo fix, which Adobe Shop has too. You get several options in there. You get to make it darker, brighter. We don't do shadows, highlights, saturation, and focus. And if you want it more colorful, you can just go over here. Look at that. See what it looks like in the upper right hand picture? It's more colorful. It certainly looks a lot closer than the real painting. I mean, looks closer to the real painting than the one on the left, which is the way it comes out in a photo sometimes. So this is the smart photo fix. Taz, I'm sorry. She likes to sit on my monitor when I do this. She'll have her head down in front of everything. So this is one of the things you can use. Darker, brighter, saturation, which means more color, less color, focus. There's a lot you can do with this one. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go out of this one because it's not the one that we're going to do. Oopsie, sorry. I clicked on the wrong little guy here, I think. There we go. That's what it's supposed to look like. Now here's another one. I don't know if you can tell this on the camera, but digital cameras are absolute miracles. However, you can get a lot of what they call digital noise because the computer kind of reads stuff into it. This looks like it was painted on a canvas, and it wasn't. It was very fine watercolor. This digital noise comes up with what the pixels do, what the computer chip, whatever the camera reads into it, you get digital noise. And unless you're trying for a style, it actually is not very, very pretty. It's not going to look like you're painting probably. So we're going to go over to adjust again. And no, for effects, adjust, there we go. And I'm going to go sharpen, or I can also use one-step noise removal and digital camera noise removal. There we go. There's digital camera noise removal. Left-hand side is the noise. Right-hand side is still quite a bit of noise there. So that, I'm not happy with that one. But a lot of times that'll do it. I actually exaggerated the digital noise in this so that you could see it. Let's go to sharpness, and we're going to go to sharpen more. Oh, that didn't do it either. You're going to have to play around just like I am on this actually. I have one more one-step noise removal. That worked good. That worked 100% better. That was the one-step noise removal. How you're going to have to do this is play around with it just like I did, because you are just not going to get it perfect, but you're going to get it a heck of a lot better. And this is, I'm telling you what to do.